Hey guys, this is Locke. Today's video is going to talk about who I think you should be getting with your select ticket and your select 600 shards that you'll be getting over the next 5-6 days. So this video is aimed towards newer players, so I'm going to assume that you have Titus and Yuna and you're planning to max both of them up to level 99. With that in mind, because you will have both of them, you will have two units that are pretty good DPS units. Both Yuna and Titus do a lot of damage, and Yuna is also a very good healer. And she also has access to like full life and raise and re-raise and things like that. So she has the healing department covered. She has the damage department covered. So with that in mind, you want to, like, my plan is to give you some units that are a good complement to those two. So my first recommendation is Nebu. The reason I'm picking Nebu, well, first of all, she's my favorite unit in the game right now. But aside from that, she has a very good skill set that makes her, in my opinion, the best offensive support unit. So the reason she's such a good support unit actually comes from her Time Mage subjob, which has access to both Quicken and Haste. Quicken gives another unit a turn instantly. So for example, if Titus is your main unit that your account is revolving around and you want him to dispatch two enemies very quickly, have him go once and then cast Quicken and have him go again. That's basically what Quicken does. Later on, there are more advanced strategies, like using two Quicken cast on one unit to have them go 3 turns, but all of that can be covered in a different video. But basically, this skill is very powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful skills in the game. So time mages, for that reason, are very valuable. And another skill is Haste. Haste increases, like a simple way to put it is, Haste increases a unit's speed. So like if Titus, say Titus has an agility of 100, Haste basically makes that agility go up to 140 something. So I'm simplifying here because I don't want to go into too many details, but basically Haste is something that gives your units that you're invested in more turns to do more damage, to heal, whatever it is. So Haste and Quicken are both very good skills, and I think those are two good skills that you really want in any offensive support unit. But in addition to that, her sniper subjob, or her sniper main job actually, is what makes her the best offensive support unit in the game, in my opinion. So with the sniper skills, she has access to barrier break. So this will break shields like Saintly Wall. Saintly Wall reduces your physical damage by 50%. So if Titus usually does, say, 2,000 damage to an enemy, now he will do 1,000 damage because they have that shield. So barrier break breaks that shield, and so Titus will be able to do the damage that he usually does again. Dispel Spread is also a very useful skill because this skill will remove buffs from enemies. So say your enemies buffed up and they have, say you're running a missile team, or say you're running even like a magic team because you have Yuna, and your enemy sees that you have Yuna, so they cast a resist magic buff on their whole team. So now their entire team has 38% more magic resistance. So Yuna will do significantly less damage than before. You use Dispel Spread, and that buff is gone. So Yuna will do her normal damage again. So you can see, like, these 4 skills really make her such a good offensive support unit. But in addition to that, she works really well as a damage dealer as well. One of the oldest units in the game that is known for being very good, especially in the PvP scene, for how much damage she does from a range, is Frederica. I'm not recommending Frederica. I'm just making a comparison from Frederica and Nebu. Frederica is known for being so good because of her very long range and her damage. But the thing is, with Nebu, you can get the exact same damage output as Frederica if you change her subjob from Time Mage to Gunner. With the Gunner subjob, she will have access to Aimed Fire, which gives her a significant boost to missile attack and an additional range. So, and with her passives Long Range and Concentrate, she has, in addition to Aimed Fire, she will be able to hit units that are 8 to 9 spaces away, depending on the skills she uses. So it's like basically having another Frederica. The only thing that Frederica has above Nivlu is that Frederica has access to a guaranteed hit shot, and Nivlu does not. But other than that, Nivlu can be built to do like very similar damage from a very similar range to Frederica. However, I am recommending Nivlu because of her time mage and offensive support capabilities. One of the reasons that I'm actually that she is my unit that I'm recommending to you is because if you are a new player, like you don't have the equipments to really build out these characters, right? Like another unit that I am recommending that I'll get into a little bit later is Garvel. And Garvel does a lot of damage. But if you get Garvel with your select unit ticket and your select unit shards, and you build him up to level 99, you're not going to have a good weapon to equip to him. So he will still do like limited damage even if he's level 99. Whereas with Nivlu, okay, yeah, her damage might be lower, but her offensive capabilities, not her offensive, her supportive offensive capabilities is not diminished by anything. She's still able to cast Quicken and Haste, and she's still able to strip buffs, and she's still able to break barriers without a good weapon. So that's the reason why she is my number one unit recommendation to you guys. But moving on, the second unit that I'm recommending is Sakura. Now, Sakura has access to a few skills that are very good. One of the skills is Thunder's Protection. So this increases lightning, light, and dark resistance of allies within that huge range by 25% for 3 turns. You are likely to be seeing a lot of other dark teams and light teams in especially Arena. So by having Sakura on your team is able to survive, a little bit better. Your defensive capabilities increase by at least 25% just by using the skill. She also has Rebel Intention, which removes Courage or Immortal Spirit from enemies. I don't really want to talk about it more, but like it's basically a form of revive. Like when you attack somebody and you kill them, they revive with 1 HP, and now you have to attack them again to kill them. Using the skill removes that, and there are quite a few units that have this Immortal Spirit skill. So Sakura is the only unit right now in the game that has something that removes that. So she's unique, and you can't go wrong with her. In addition, she also has Thunder's Light, which lowers lightning and light resistance. So since you have Yuna, and Yuna is probably your main DPS, or one of your main DPS, by using Thunder's Light, your Yuna will do more damage because the opponent has lowered light resistance. In addition to that, Sakura, like Yuna, has a mastery ability that increases light units' max HP and light attack. So she will increase the survivability and light damage of Yuna, and Yuna will do the same to Sakura. So both of them are, they will complement each other, and they will both do well together. They can chain off each other's attack to do even more damage. My next recommendation is Garvel. Garvel is really good all around. Like, he does a lot of interesting things. One of the special mentions to him is actually his TMR. So what this TMR does is it increases your magic attack by I think 40%, but most importantly, it also increases your magic attack resistance penetration. So if you max out this TMR, it gives you 50% magic attack resistance penetration. So what that means is, if Yuna and Garvel are your main DPS units on your team, and somebody sees that you're using magic users, so they build their magic resistance up to like 80%. Now you'll only be doing 20% attack of your normal damage. Using this skill, you're able to reduce that by half. So instead of doing only 20% damage, now their magic resistance goes down from 80% to 40%, and you'll do 60% damage, which is a huge boost. So I think like this is one of the best TMRs in the game. There are other really good ones too, like Kiza's, but this one is very important for a magic team. So he has a good TMR, but he's also a very good unit as well. He has access to here you go. He has access to a barrier break, a barrier on himself, not a barrier break, just a barrier. So uh, physical damage does 50% damage to him for 3 hits. He has a skill that does guaranteed hits. So if you're facing evade teams, Yuna also has a guaranteed hit skill, but sometimes just one unit is not enough. So having another source of guaranteed hit is not a bad thing. So now you have 2 sources of guaranteed hits if you opt to get Garvel. And he does 2 different types of damage. So he also does missile attacks, and he does magic attacks. So these are magic attack skills. This is Cheese Shot is a missile attack skill. On top of that, with his Red Mage sub-job, he has access to Jamming Thirst, which has a range of 5, and it's able to interrupt enemies casting. So if you're fighting other Yunas, and you see that a Yuna is casting Re-Raise on someone else, but your Garvel gets to go before Yuna finishes casting, if you use Jamming Thirst, it can actually interrupt the opponent Yuna from casting, so the Re-Raise does not go off. You've stopped her from casting that, or if she's casting like even like Holy or any other skill that has a cast time, and Garvel is able to get in between there and use Jamming Thirst, it will interrupt the enemy from casting, even if he doesn't kill her. Usually he probably will kill her, but just in case he doesn't kill her, Jamming Thrust will interrupt that cast. So, and another thing to mention is he has a very good passive Hyper Vitality. So as you can, like, if you take a look here on the left side where it says like Magic, Agility, and Dexterity, when I add this in, it gives you quite a big boost. Like especially the Agility, it gives you 16 Agility, 156 Magic, and quite a bit of Dexterity as well. 99 Dexterity. So this is a very powerful skill, but it only lasts 5 turns. So if you're using Garvel, you're hoping for the match to be over within the first 5 turns. Usually that is quite a bit of time, because if you are in a PvP scene like say Arena, you have 3 units, the opponent has 3 units, so the 6 units gets 50 turns each. Each unit gets around roughly 8 turns. So Garvel has this buff for more than half the game. So I think he's a great unit. My next recommendation, I keep saying her name wrong, so I'm just going to say Elsa so I don't keep butchering her name, but that is her name. You can read it on the top left. So the reason I recommend Elsa is, well, she has some of the things that I mentioned for Sakura. She has a great mastery ability that would also increase light units' HP and light attack. But on top of that, she has access to really good defensive buffs. So she has resist magic if you're fighting other units and other units in battles. Resist magic will increase, you and your allies' magic resistance by 38%. She also has a similar skill for pierce and missile attack as well. So this will increase you and your units' pierce resistance and missile resistance by 25%. On top of that, she has this skill which lowers the healing power of opponent units. So if you're, again, fighting other units where like someone is using a tank plus Yuna and Yuna keeps healing that tank, if you use this skill, their healing power decreases. So that tank doesn't get healed for as much. I think it reduces it by 40%. So this is, like, I think she's a good unit. I use her a lot. But it's one recommendation. She also has concentration, which is good if you're pairing her with Tidus, because this increases the slash attack of her and allies. So both her and Tidus, if you use the skill next to Tidus, will get plus 40 slash attack, which is quite a bit. It's more than like a vision card boost. Usually vision card boosts are plus 35, but yeah, so concentration is a very good skill. So she's another good unit that I recommend. She's also a very good magic tank, especially with magic barrier. So magic barrier, when she uses it on herself, will be able to reduce magic damage she takes by 50% for 3 turns. Couple that with magic resist, which I showed you earlier. Here is this magic, which gives you an additional 38% magic resistance. And she has Drain Rush, which keeps healing herself as she does damage. All of this makes her a very good magic tank. So if you're fighting a lot of Yunas and you're expecting to fight a lot of Yunas, this is one recommendation that I can give you that I think might help you in those battles. Um, my next recommendation, is Kiza. Now, I'm a bit hesitant to recommend Kiza to you. I don't. I'm not really recommending her. I guess I'm just talking about her. So the reason I don't think you should get Kiza is because she's available in the Mog Shop that you can get with guild medals, but you might still consider getting her with the select unit and select ticket shards for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is if you're a new player, maybe it'll take you a very long time to get the Mog medals to get Kiza and to get her shards. To get Kiza outright from the Mog medal shop will cost 2,000 2,000 guild medals, and you need an additional 50 medals per shard that you get, up to 500 guild medals for 10 shards a day. But maybe you can only get, say, 100 shards of, like, sorry, not 100 shards. Maybe you can only get 100 guild medals a day. So you're only getting, say, two Kiza shards a day, which will take you a very long time to max her. So maybe you're like, actually, I think I'm just gonna max her out now, and like the guild medal is just too slow for me. Maybe that's what you're thinking. So maybe it might be okay for you to get her. I would still not recommend it, but I at least wanted to make you aware of that fact. The reason people get Kiza is because she has the best TMR in the game. This TMR is very useful in all kinds of scenarios, especially raid scenarios. A lot of players are looking for somebody else with, with this TMR. If you don't have the TMR, sometimes you're not even able to get into raid rooms. So it is like, it really drastically improves your account when you have this item. But to have it, you really need to completely get Kiza to level 99. Like, you need to get her fully awakened and limit break. You can't do this halfway. If you do it halfway, you don't get the TMR. You need to have her fully awakened and limit break broken to get it. My next recommendation is Glaciala. So Glaciala has fallen off a little bit, but she's still very good. The reason that she's so good, she is one of the original hyper carries of the game, where you can have her and two supporting units and have her do all the damage, and she will still do really well. This is especially true for like live PvP scenarios. The reason she's so good is because of her skill set. First of all, she has access to move 4, jump 2. She has a passive that increases her agility, and she has, one second here, the skill which lets her have a huge range. Like, she can hit enemies that are up to 6 spaces away in a very wide area. So with that, she's able to move around the map very easily, and she's able to do a lot of damage. The reason she's such a good hyper carry is because of like some her skill sets. So Store increases her attack by 150%. Yes, 150% for one turn. So if you use Store and then you use one of her skills, a lot of times they will like one-shot whatever you're attacking. She has this skill which increases both her pierce attack and her defense piercing rate. So even if you're fighting enemies that have, say, like 50 defense, if you use the skill, she will still do quite a significant damage to them. She has this skill which does guaranteed hit, so she's even great against evade units, because she will hit them 100% of the time with the skill. And she has a 3-hit skill. So this skill is good for scenarios like raid, where you're trying to chain the boss to do a lot of damage in a short period of time. But it is also good against PvP scenarios where the opponent has used a skill that does a shield. So if the opponent has a shield that absorbs 3 hits, if you use the skill, that shield is gone. So the next time you attack, you will be able to do full damage. So also, one other thing I should mention is that she has a pretty high slash attack resistance. So she starts with 25%, and her TMR gives you an additional 15% slash resistance for 3 turns. So that is 40% already, and you can bring it up to like 70-80% with the right gear. So she's good again, and slash is the most common type of damage in the game, so she's good against that. But the reason she has kind of fallen off and she's not as good as she could be is because of her missile resistance of -15 and thunder resistance of -10%. So Federica and Nivlu are two units that you will encounter a lot because they're so fantastic, and a lot of times they can usually one-shot Glaciella, unfortunately. So, um, so that's her weakness, but she is good in many other things. But she is weak to those units specifically. So if you keep fighting them often in arena, you're at a significant disadvantage if you use Glaciella. But another advantage is that because she's water, Titus's water mastery skills will increase both her HP and her damage by a little bit. So those are all my recommendations. I have 5 recommendations plus, Kiza, which I kind of recommend, but I don't really. I want to talk about some other units that I like. I want to talk about some archetypes really. So you have some damage dealers and you have a healer, and if you're thinking of getting a tank, I have some bad news for you. I don't really find any tanks that I can recommend right now if you're a new player. Um, One of the original tanks in the game is Engelbert, but he has a significant weakness of negative 30% to magic attack, and you will probably be running into a lot of magic teams anyway in arena and guild wars and stuff like that. So you will probably not be able to survive that damage. Your Engelbert is probably going down very easily. So he is good for other types of like he's good to tank other types of damage, but he's on the slower side as well, and he has only move 3 and jump 1. So I don't know. I mean, like if you really want to tank, I like he might be good. He might be good, especially when his X job comes, whenever it comes. But I don't really recommend him, and I've had him for a long time, and I have like all the shards built out. I have 600 of his shards, but I just I don't use them. So, but he is one of the choices if you're really looking for a tank. He has access to Taunting Blade, which increases your hate. So you need your hate up for enemies, especially in auto battle scenarios, to attack him. So if he uses Taunting Blade, then enemies will keep attacking him until his hate factor goes down. So he is one possible tank candidate. Another candidate is Rain. So Rain, I think, is a better tank than Engelbert. He specializes in tanking magic damage. His Astral Guard has a magic barrier on him, and then he has a lot of skills that increase his where is it now? This one. That increases his spirit. So the higher spirit you have, the less magic damage that opponents do. And on top of that, like he does. Okay, so this is the part that's a bit iffy, and I don't recommend him. While Rain is a good character, to really get the most out of him, you should have access to this sword, which gives you 170 magic attack. So without that sword, you don't really have any other sword that increases magic damage that you can equip on him. So if you equip like a golden blade or like some other equipment, you're only getting attack from it, and Rain's damage is based on magic. So he might be a good tank, but he will sure, he might be an okay tank, but he won't be doing the damage that you kind of see other tanks, other Rains doing. The Rains that have Crimson Blade is significantly stronger than a Rain that doesn't. So he also has access to, like if you are running him as a damage dealer, which you won't be if you don't have the Crimson Blade, he has access to Jamming Thrust, which I've covered before, so he's able to have that skill and do a lot of damage. But you will be using him on the Knight of Grandshield subjob to get access to Astral Guard, which increases not only your magic resistance, but it increases your hate as well. So this is similar to Engelbert's Taunting Blade skill, as I said. The only difference is that Astral Guard can be used turn 1 on himself, while Engelbert's first needs to get enough AP to cast Taunting Blade on an enemy before they start attacking him. So those are the 2 tanks in the game that you can get with tickets. Another one that you can kind of get is Whisper, but she's also available in the Mog Metal shop as well. And the reason that I don't recommend her, like I recommend her even less than Kiza, with getting shards of her and select ticketing her. The reason for that is because Whisper is known as a tank that has less HP but high resistances. If you take a look at her resistance right now, Like you can see across the board, she has like 25% resistance to everything. So the way you would typically play Whisper is to get your resistance up to very high levels. Like you can get her to like you can actually even get her to I think like 100% resistance to like at least one or maybe even two of these things. So if she has like 100% slash resistance, you can fight slash teams and they will all do one damage to her. So even if she has a a lower HP pool than other tanks, she makes up for that by having high resistance. The reason I do not recommend her is because if you're a new player, you don't have the gear to get her up to very high resistances right now. You need to have like very good maxed out vision cards. You need to have the equipment that gives maxed out resistances, like +5 equipments, and well, you don't have that right now. So she might not be such an effective tank if you don't have that. So that's why I don't recommend her. I mean, you can still build her slowly by getting her from the Mog medals, and by the time you have her maxed out from that, maybe at that time you have the vision cards to make her strong. So that's the reason why I don't recommend her. Those are the 3 tanks that you can get right now in the game using the select tickets. Unfortunately, the best tanks, especially the tanks that I use, are all limited units that you can't get, like Warrior of Light or Dwayne. Those are the 2 tanks that I often use. And unfortunately, you can't really get them right now with the select tickets. A special mention that I want to make out is Ildira. A lot of the game is spent farming, and Ildira is the best farmer that is not a limited unit that you can get. The reason that she's the best farmer is because her skills are instant cast and has a long range. So for example, she has access to this skill, which as you can see has a huge area of effect, and it does quite a bit of damage as well, and is instant cast. So for example, like Mediana has a skill that has a similar range, but it has a cast time, so it doesn't cast right away. Ildira does not have that issue, so she's able to do a lot of damage significantly and one-shot a lot of enemies, and so that makes her one of the strongest farmers in the game. But you can get her from Mog medals as well, and if you get her with the select tickets, you don't have a good weapon for her anyway. So you might be better off using Yuna as a farmer instead of her because you're not able to get a weapon. You need a mace. You can't use a staff for her. So you can get Yuna's staff from the what is it? The event going on right now, and Yuna's magic attack will be significantly higher than Ildira's because Ildira does not have a good mace to go with her. There are other units that are good farmers as well, like Mediana or other units that do AoE damage. But I think that you should rather use Yuna because she has access to AoE skills as well. Like Bursting Light has a pretty good range as well, and Yuna will do a lot of damage because you have the equipment for her and you have her built out to at least 99, if not level 120. She also has this skill, Energy Ray, which also has a pretty good area effect, and this one is an instant cast skill. So I don't know. I mean, I would recommend that you use Yuna as your farmer. As your tank, you should be getting Woe of Love, which I talked about in a different video. Maybe you can put that on Titus or even Mont or something. Put that on Mont. And if you're really looking for a tank, maybe you should be building out one of the MR tanks like Dario or where is she? This one, Nasha. These tanks are okay. I mean, UR tanks will be better than them, but there isn't any UR tanks that I would recommend and tell you to sacrifice getting like someone like Nebu over a tank. So if you are struggling for a tank, first of all, you should be building out Mont to level 99, and hopefully he can be your tank for a while. Put Vow of Love on him. But if you are looking for like a better tank, Dario or Nasha is probably what I would recommend. Don't use this. I don't think you can use this select ticket on them anyway, but you can slowly build them up over time. Anyway, those are my recommendations. I hope you found this video informative. If there are other units that you have questions about, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you make a decision on, or at least give you some suggestions on what you should be getting. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.